Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Tower clear.
We got a roll program.
You know, you got me thinking about the local territories, and I look back at the Von Erichs in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Smoky Mountain. You look at UWF when Terry Gordy and Steve Williams were battling out for the championship there. Those were territories that expanded well beyond where they actually, promoted shows.
Right.
I don't necessarily see that much anymore. Those were three big ones that I think of that they grew a ton of amazing talent that ultimately moved on and went to bigger and better things. But they had a significant impact on the territories as well because they expanded beyond where they actually
100%
ran their shows.
It developed a different portion of the landscape. And you could see that's why that battle was so long and difficult for McMahon, because he wasn't just buying up indie territories. He was buying up and having to take apart, dismantle organizations that had a foothold for years and years and years. NWA, the oldest sanctioning body in professional wrestling. It was into the 1900s. You're talking almost 80 years, 85 years by the time that he starts to dismantle it. That's difficult to do.
Yeah, it is.
So, but that's a little bit of somber news. But boys and girls, fans and friends, know your wrestling history. In order to understand today, you got to understand where we come from. That's why we love to do this on the show.
Exactly. Now, your question for you.
Yes.
Do you feel that this big move by the WWE ultimately damaged the business?
Oh, irrevocably.
Yeah.
There is no, my opinion, there is no comparison between what today's product is, the corporate packaging of a product, forcing you, no matter where you live, to like one thing and one thing only. When you do traveling like we did, Tim, you go down to Tennessee, different style of wrestling. You go to New York, different style of wrestling. You go to Texas, different style of wrestling. Today, the WWE has made it one homogenous, pre-packaged, event, and there is no difference to it. There is no separation of, like if you think about it, church and state. Everything is exactly the same. There's no battle.
And I think that corporate packaging damages the wrestlers individually. I can think of a lot of wrestlers, and the first one that comes to mind would be Raven. Raven was an amazing worker, on the independent circuit, one of my personal favorites on the independent circuit. And when he went to the WWE, he was very limited in what he was allowed to do. He had a much smaller move set. And they had those signature moves that they wanted him to put into every match that he did. And I think that limited some of the creativity that he had in his matches when he was on the independent circuit. Yeah. And I think you see that with a lot of people now. They are absolutely intent on making sure that the wrestlers, they do their signature moves, they do their finisher moves. But after a while, you're seeing the same thing over and over again. You're losing some of that creativity, which is what makes the matches exciting to watch.
Well, there is no individual creativity. You are told what your character is going to be.
Absolutely.
There's some horrendous that turned out to be rib or not rib. It all depends on what your point of views are. To the Terry Taylor incident as the Red Rooster in the W. The polka dots on Dusty Rhodes. You think about those types of things. Without the independence and without a multitude of professional organizations that are big leagues, you lose that creativity and the ability to develop. And that's extremely important. You need to develop a skill set prior to be heralded on that pedestal so that you can be put in any situation and still function easily and greatly. The word is work, knowing how to work. Because if you take this script away, I don't know how well functioning some of these folks are.
Absolutely, and you look at, I think you bring up the polka dots with Dusty Rhodes. Here's one of the biggest stars in the NWA who did not need to be wearing a gimmick like polka dots. He had charisma, he had wrestling ability, and he was one of the top stars in the NWA. And he goes to the WWE, and it's almost like he becomes a joke. He loses what made him to be such a superstar in the NWA.
And I agree, but also the professional that he was, he took that and made it work.
Yep.
He did. But there is no doubt, because it wasn't something that McMahon created, he didn't create the American Dream. Sure, if you look back at the 70s, the bull rope matches with Billy Graham, Dusty Rhodes created that. That's the American Dream. That was his style. So it was their way of putting a stamp on it. And again, something, I don't appreciate that. I like the development of who and what you are. Tim, you look perplexed. You look like you got a Christmas gift to give.
They could really take that character and twist it around to their liking, but they really couldn't take away his charisma.
Not at all. And I think that's what's shown through him. He made it work for him.
Talent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like they always said with Flair. He could work with a broomstick. You know, same type of thing. Instead of being given lemons and just making a lemonade stand, he created Country Time and made a corporation from it.
Boy, if WWE had a babyface that could talk like Dusty Rhodes today, they wouldn't have half the problems that they do now.
No.
What, you mean Roman Reigns can't do that?
Well, does he have the opportunity to do it?
Right. How scripted.
And that's exactly what it comes down to. Even if they have the talent, they have to adhere to that script, and again, limits the creativity.
They're molding someone like Plato and really taking the creativity and the realness out of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not your real personality that's shining through on TV.
No.
I mean, really, to be successful, everyone's always told me that you have to have something real that you're giving to the audience, and I think they've stripped that away from him.
100%.
Ladies and gentlemen, his opponent at 232 pounds from Ocean City, Maryland, Beach Boy Vinny Young.
You know, take off the makeup off of erotic Adrian Hall, and it looks like Ed Hall from Scarsdale, New York. Remember a few weeks back? What happened to him? Now he's got lipstick, eyeshadow, flowery tights.
Oh, watch out, Dave.
What now?
Am I late?
Late for
late
what?
now?
Wait a minute.
What? Late
yeah,
for what?
I love it, man.
Wait a minute.
Late for what?
What do you mean late for what? I'm taking
That's
over
Mike
now.
Paradise's microphone,
It's
Mr.
not his,
Casey.
it's
No.
The Truth Casey's, because Chaos Enterprises has just bought me the time, and I'm the owner
Hey,
of
wait,
Chaos
no.
Enterprises.
Did you clear this with Lou Martin, president?
Who?
Lou Martin, the president of the
Who?
UIW.
I'm the new president.
You got to get permission for
president
this.
of Chaos
Let's talk
Enterprises.
about.
Wow, what a drop kick.
Come on.
Hey, shut up, shut up, baby. Look, Dave the Wave, just because you were a great referee.
Look, I want to do my job out here, okay?
You're interrupting Craig Johnson now. Do your job.
It's Beach Boy Vinny Young with a nice elbow on exotic Adrian Hall.
Hey, look, Dave the Wave, I'm sick and tired of you butting in all the time. Just because you were a great rep doesn't mean that you were a great commentator.
Well, it seems like somebody, not Dave the Wave, is butting in here. And what's with the golf club here?
I'm a professional golfer. I was a college golfer. I'm in a lot of pro-ams. I win a lot of money. That's what bankrolled Chaos Enterprises.
You know, I could have sworn that erotic Adrian...
Oh, be quiet.
Hey,
look,
come
Dave
on,
the
let me
Wave.
get my point across
What point?
here.
The only point that you have is the one on top of your
Craig.
head.
Well, there goes Adrian to the top rope, comes down on the back.
Beach Boy Vinny
Look,
Young.
Well, from where I stood, this Adrian guy, where'd you get him from? Some flower shop in middle of Dundalk or
Out
something?
of Greenwich Village, New York now.
I heard it was San Francisco.
At one time, he
At
held...
one time that he was peddling flowers on the street corners of San Francisco. He was a draft dodger. That's what he is.
Don't worry about it, Dave.
Get a word in it. Anyway, Ed Hall coming off elbow to the top.
Quit butting in for Johnson, man. That's his job. He's the play-by-play guy. I'm the color.
You weren't invited out here, okay?
I invited myself out here.
Gentlemen, calm yourselves. Beach Boy Vinny Young apparently having the worst of. Well, this guy's one of the weirdest guys I've seen in a long time.
Ed Hall is nothing but in trouble from where I can see.
No, it says here Adrian Hall.
Look, these guys aren't the caliber of King
He used to be Ed Hall at one time.
Gentlemen,
Jeff Collette.
One at a time. One at a time.
Be quiet, Wade, while I keep going. I'm the one at a time in charge here.
Beach Boy Vinny in trouble. Ed Hall
Beach Boy Vinny, man. Boy, let me tell you.
Would you
quit interrupting me?
Gentlemen.
I'm the only gentleman here.
Ed Hall going to the top rope.
I think that's a dangerous maneuver at this point.
Don't you have a foursome waiting for you somewhere?
Yeah, they're back at my hotel. They're all blonde. They're all hourglass shaped, and I'm going to be playing in the sand tonight, baby.
Erotic Adrian Hall kissing, making gyrating hip motions to the crowd.
Please.
Beach Boy Vinny Ross. 1, 2, 3.
We got him.
Now, that was a fast count if I've ever seen one, guys.
Erotic Adrian.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, Beach Boy Vinny Young.
That's what you get for gyrating those hips to the crowd.
I think we've made a real distinction between corporate wrestling and what I call wrestling today.
Right.
I was just wondering your opinion. Do you think on a local level we could actually see a little bit of wrestling again? Do you think it's possible that we could go back a little bit and add like a little local flavor, a little bit of southernness to a local wrestling promotion today? Do you think it would work?
I would love to see that happen, but I firmly believe, I sound a little bit negative when I talk about how the WWE has handled some of the top talent that they've taken. However, there needs to be at least a balance between that corporate mentality and also allowing people to kind of be themselves. I think you can go to too many wrestling shows and you've got some people that are wrestling that probably are way greener than what they should be to be given a microphone or to be put on a show because they're just not ready for it. And I feel like those promotions need to have a set standard as to who they're going to allow to work. Who has the ability to get on the microphone and talk. It shouldn't just be anybody that picks up a microphone because they lose the audience. They need to help these people develop their characters, not make in a very rigid line that they can't deviate from it, but they have to help them develop the characters more. And I'm not sure that we see that to the level we need to. I think it's far too much. The wrestler comes in as an independent contractor and they are who they are, and that's who they are. That's what you get on the show. And I don't think that's good enough anymore.
Well, and I agree with you. My opinion, to opine, is that there is plenty of room out there to develop good business, good wrestling, and present it to the public because they want it. Wrestling isn't something that was invented in the 1900s. Think about the Greek Olympics, right? Athens. Wasn't this one of the biggest games and wrestling was a big part of it? Think about all facets of life that existed, and combat between two combatants was always at the pinnacle of being heralded as the heroes of those civilizations. It's the same today with the art of grappling. It hasn't changed throughout the ages. People's interpretations of it and the finality of it has definitely changed a little bit, but it's still there. It's a primordial instinct that we all like to see. If you capitalize on it and do it right, you can still do it. The problem is that there's not enough regulations for the small businesses that want to start up and kill the business because they're starting up and not having earned the secrets of the trade. And it's not just because you say you want to be a wrestler and you get out there and do it. This is an earning process. You can't just say, I want to be a police officer, go out and start enforcing laws. There's a training realm there. There's an education realm. You are being molded to be specifically that. Same with a professional wrestler. You do. There's a pedigree that you have to develop. And it doesn't come by fly-by-night groups because they don't know what's really going on. They don't know how to build a show. The showmanship there, again, this you take sport, you take carnival, you mix it together, you've got professional wrestling. It's all about the sell to people, and I think people who don't know how to or weren't trained to learn those specific things in presentation are killing our business.
Well, I think there's a definite mix that has to be met as far as the athleticism and the drama. And I think we've lost a lot of the drama in wrestling.
Right.
I mean, I see some fantastic athletes doing things that probably 20 years ago people only dreamed about doing in the ring. But what are the ratings like?
But in following up on what you're saying there, we do have spectacular athletes that have taken it to another level. They do a lot of moves that we never would have dreamed of doing, right? However, when you first did the Frankensteiner from the top rope,
right?
That was a high point in the match. It was the culmination of 20 minutes of you and I wrestling, right?
Exactly.
Now they lead off with it. You know, they're taking all these high spots that should be used as an exclamation point and littering the match with high spot after high spot after high spot. And when you do that, where do you go for a finish? You know, I mean, you know, the art of the arm drag, you know, seems to be lost to a point. And that's the basic grappling that you start off with.
You have to build. Oh, sorry, Tim. You have to build human emotion, and if you give them everything at once, at the beginning, they're done. Where is the build for human emotion? And that's why people look at it. They'll gawk. It's like an accident. You gawk at an accident, but you're more invested with. If you knew the people who were involved in the accident, if this was a car that you paid for, if there was some real tragedy at the end, all of a sudden there's a different emotional investment than just gawking at an accident. And that's what we have here, in my opinion. Wrestling has become an accident to gawk at instead of an emotional investment, and people lose that. That's why the ratings have gone down so much. No one's being able to invest, and it's a product of a lot of things, pay-per-view
And on the independent circuit, given the rise of social media, which we did not have 20 years ago when we were on the independent circuit.
The easiness of today's social media, because we did have a social media. It was different, I think.
Fair enough. Yes. But like you look at Facebook and you look at Instagram, these wrestlers nowadays, they have that ability to connect with their fans in a much greater capacity than we ever did. And unfortunately, it's not resulting in that emotion or commitment or, you know, tying somebody to a wrestler as much as it used to. You know, and I feel like that's where part of it is lost. Maybe it's the ease of access. I don't know.
Could be. Tim?
Oversaturation.
Oversaturation. Low budget product oversaturated.
And I don't think it's as special. If you're getting inundated with that and hit with that every single time you turn on the computer, I mean, when you go to the actual event itself, is that a special event as it used to be?
Right.
I mean, when I was a young kid, and I'm saying this is many, many years ago, but, I mean, when you went to a wrestling card, that was like a big deal when I was a kid.
It was.
That meant something to me. And believe me, it was an important tool my parents would hold over my head to get me to behave well, too. Hey, if you're not behaving well, you're not going to get
you're going.
And that really meant a lot to me and my brother and our friends that went to the wrestling events regularly. So I think it is a little bit of oversaturation. You get a little bit too much. Maybe you get hit with that all the time, and it's just not as special anymore.
No, I agree. Mama Blues used to say one thing: if you give someone something, they don't care if they lose it because they didn't earn it. But when they earn something, you dare not ever try to take it away. And that's the truth about this business. Think about it. Once you've earned that, there's no one's taking it away from you. And the fans have lost the ability, because of our programming them now, to earn something.
And just like Ed said, I mean, you lose that tie, that emotional tie to the individual wrestler. And that's what I was trying to hint at earlier when I said you don't have as much drama.
Right.
Because you don't feel that tie to pull you in. You see some incredible athletics, but where's the emotional pool to get you vested?
100%.
When I was teaming with Twiggy Ramirez as Downward Spiral, and we were wrestling out of Jersey for Dennis Coraluzzo, Grace would go to these matches with me, and you know, Twiggy and I, we wrestled against Bad Attitude, which were these two twin biker guys that they were massive. They weighed 350 pounds each, and we had some really good matches with them. But there was a woman in particular in the audience that Grace always remembers, because she would literally be screaming her head off at Twiggy and I the entire match. She was so vested in her hatred towards us that, I mean, she would be, if I were outside of the ring, she would be in my face screaming with her spit just flying at me, because she was just so angry at what Tim and Twiggy and I were doing. And when we ultimately won the belts from Bad Attitude, I mean, the woman practically had to be restrained. It was terrible, because nothing we did remotely was ethical in the ring, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's a perfect example of somebody that is vested, and I'm sure she went home and did not sleep, from her just anger over us. And Grace remembers her to this day and still talks about her, because that was somebody that was firmly vested in a match. And now it's hard to develop that sometimes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Arena, I understand this guy's quite a story, Dave.
Greenwich Village, and you know what kind of people walk the streets at night in Greenwich Village.
And
look at this guy.
He's
flower
throwing
tights,
flowers.
makeup on his face.
And I'm sure, oh my. And we're sure lovely pastel print tights as he hops into the ring. And what is this? We've got a little fashion show here first.
Big smile on the face of insatiable Adrian Hall.
Well, I wonder if Ken Martin knows what to make of this, because I sure didn't. No, he doesn't.
Ken Martin was too anxious to shake the hand. Perhaps Adrian wanted a kiss. Adrian opening up with a quick arm drag.
Oh,
bowing and curtsying.
There we go,
the
as he blows the fans a kiss.
With his pastel flowered tights. Collar and elbow lock up once again. Adrian, another arm drag. Quick. Once again bowing.
Well,
Ken Martin.
I wonder, are we going to expect this after every wrestling move, Dave?
I hope not.
I hope not either.
Locking up once again, Adrian Hall backing him into the ropes. Ken Martin turning it around. Oh, Adrian Hall opening up. Oh, Ken Martin almost dumped him over the top rope with a clothesline.
As it gets hung up in the ropes there.
Suplex, took him over hard. Ken Martin, forearm to the neck of insatiable Adrian Hall. Oh, Adrian with a kick to the midsection, elbow to the top of the head. Oh, wait a minute. He's grabbing him under the crotch area, picking him up. Oh, dropped the groin area right on the shoulder. That cannot be legal.
No, it can't be. I've never seen a move like that, Dave. And here we go, looks like another suplex.
Brain buster. Brain buster suplex, dropped him right on his neck. Well,
I don't know. David, this has been a show that's been confusing. I'm not sure exactly what transpired.
Stinging chop by Adrian Hall. Knee drop. Adrian going up perhaps to the top rope. High-risk maneuver. He's got 5 to get down. Setting him up. Driving his knee right into the back. Oh, drove his knee right onto the top of Ken Martin's head, down into the canvas. Hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
That's it, Dave.
Your winner, insatiable Adrian Hall.
Unusual match.
Insatiable Adrian Hall.
Wait a minute.
All right, now this is something I heard about, Dave, and I can't believe this, fans. This guy actually applies makeup to the opponent that's lost to him. Just an extremely unusual after-match ritual that he seems to have. All right, and there goes insatiable Adrian Hall as he jumps out of the ring, and I don't think Kenny Martin still knows what happened.